Alright guys, so I hope you're doing fine as always. In today's video we will have a quick follow-up of last week's video. We will have a look at Bitcoin, gold, silver and Nasdaq, because in 1 week a lot has changed. We saw a very aggressive movement to the downside. We will see what levels got hit, what can we expect, how the plan is going, etc. So without further ado, let's start with Bitcoin. So if we activate our plan of last week's video again, we can see we pretty much fully filled this harmonic pattern. We did drop a little bit below it, which is a 2% overextension of this T point of the harmonic pattern. Nevertheless, 2% I think is still fine. We can see we had a strong reaction from it, almost a 15 to 16% bounce from it, so I think it's fair to say we do get somewhat of a good reaction of this harmonic pattern. So if we then look at the levels, we see these levels got broken quite easily, which is a bit worrying. I really didn't like the speed this thing was going down with. Levels that shouldn't be broken so easily just got smashed through like they weren't there. Nevertheless, we did finally start bottoming out a little bit here. We see this big stopping volume candle as well, so that's a good reaction point. I did heavily DCA in myself, which I can show right here. So I did get an average entry price of 63,861, and I did take some partial profits at 70k already. If we then look at my TP zones, as the build is pretty much done of last video, so I won't be going over that. If you want to see the builds, why these levels, etc., please check out last week's video. So my plan is here, I took partials at 70k. My next partial TP is at 72k350. From there I'm looking all the way up to 83,175. Reasoning for this is if we look at the liquidation maps, you can see here right at 83,219. So I'm front running it a little bit. But what do we see here? At the moment there's a 7 billion liquidations, or there's 7 billion in liquidation sitting there. So a sweep to this level would cause a lot of short liquidations. So I think it would be quite a nice move if we can go there, stopping out all these shorts who are shorting the FUD. So that's the reason for this TP right here. It's also sitting in this vector area. Of course, a bounce up there would already mean a 38% bounce back up, which is possible. I also do think if we make that move, that we will then start consolidating. I don't think we will go a lot higher, a lot quicker. Of course, it's possible, you cannot predict it, but I think this would already be a very, very strong move. We want to see consolidation in to then have some continuation upwards. I do have more TP set at 98 to 60, 17,800 and 130k. Keep in mind, these are my swing TPs. This can take over a year to get hit. Like I said in today's live stream, it's a similar build to what I did right here in August of 2024. I did build a Bitcoin long. I had an average entry of 56k and I sold all the way here at 125, which took almost 424 days, so more than a year. It's the same plan here. I'm willing to hold this trade for more than a year again. I have partial profits in near range, so here I take quick profits. These are profits for the long run. The benefit of having these partial profits here at these lower zones is for the bearish case scenario. Let's say this is just another dead cat bounce, we start rolling over again. So let's say we start rolling over again. With the profits we have taken on these levels, we do have more dry powder to start DCAing at lower levels again. So that's why I'm taking partials. Yes, there is a possibility that we shoot more up and that I'm missing out on profits here, but I rather take profits here in zones that I want or see that are viable zones for profit taking than holding on in the hopes that it goes higher to then get stuck in another correction down. Don't be greedy in trading, take $1 when you see one. That's why we split in partial profits, so we can use this margin and these profits again to buy in at lower levels. This way we lower our average entry price, so once the move to new all-time highs comes, when we go to the new bull market, we do have a very nice average buying price or entry price to take a lot more profits in the move up. So that's my plan for Bitcoin right now. Like we discussed in the live streams, on the smaller time frames it looks very bullish at the moment. We did recover some vectors, we smashed through the EMAs. Only thing is we left behind this 67k vector candle right here. And of course here at the lows at the 60k range as well. So if you're not in a Bitcoin trade already and you want to start building your long position, I do think this is a nice entry to start building your long as a first entry. Maybe something here at these lows, at a very low, maybe at 55, I don't know, I'm just saying some numbers here, but you get the point. I do think this is quite a strong or important zone, that if we see an overnight correction, we can potentially bounce from there. If this breaks, there's a good chance we are going back into this 63 to 64k range. Keep in mind, we're on a Friday at the moment of recording, so this is a Friday pump. We're heading into the weekend. Into the weekend we have lower volume, the order book is a lot thinner, so a lot easier to start manipulating. So we could see some wild candles. But overall, it looks currently that we are at least having somewhat of a relief rally. So don't be afraid to take profits. It's also a form of protecting yourself, of risk management, etc. So please take profits when you see them. We did do a whole discussion on Bitcoin during the live stream. So if there are any more questions, please feel free to ask. If we then have a quick look at CoinAnk, what do we see here? We can see sellers stepped in, which is nice. They pushed prices back off or pulled prices back up. If we look at the order book, we can see there are some big orders sitting. 37 million at 72k, 63 million at 77,500, 44 million at 77,600. And you can see if we scroll up, all big orders to the downside. We do have a huge one sitting at 58, which didn't get filled in the dump. We saw here on the very lows a $12 million position tried getting filled, but they only got filled for 2 million. From there we bounced up. We can see sellers are stepping in. They added these positions not that long ago. If we look at deltas, let's say in the big range, a 10k range from 88 to 61. We can see the order book is slightly bullish, not extremely bullish, but slightly bullish, which is good to see because this has been slightly bearish for a very long time now. If we look at smaller ranges, let's say 5k, and then I'm at 76 to 65-ish. We can see also in the smaller ranges the order book is slightly bullish. Nevertheless, we do see a lot of long positions got opened in this move, so be careful for a quick wick to then continue to move up. These are all possibilities, always stay safe. Generally speaking, the order book, the charts, everything is looking a little bit bullish going into the weekend. So let's see what this brings. It's highly manipulated, but a good relief rally is definitely healthy to see. For long-term play, it would be great if we can close above this EMA level, of course, this 200 EMA on the weekly. On the daily, we want prices really to start consolidating a little bit, that we start seeing some range forming. This can be a long time, can be months, to then continue a strong move upwards. Keep in mind we do have Nvidia earnings at the end of the month, so markets could be waiting on that too, to then make the move up or down depending on what Nvidia earnings are. Nvidia earnings usually have a strong impact on markets. So that's a quick look at the plan for Bitcoin. If we then look at gold, we can see gold had similar action. Strong reaction back up today. Let's go to smaller time frames, 4 hours. We can see here the dump yesterday, and now we are pulling back up. We crossed our EMAs, we crossed the 50. We did make the stopping volume candle, so the chart is definitely looking bullish. If we look at the vector candle sitting above here, if we look at our vector candles, definitely a good chance that gold is moving back up. I did take some profits on gold at the 5k range myself. My average entry price on gold is 4,655, so around this area. Took some partials at 5k. I will be taking more partials at 5.26k, at 5.48, and at 5.639, so at the highs again. But these are discussed in the live streams. If needed, I can drop that chart in the Discord server, just let me know. A very strange thing to see, or at least not strange, but very poetic thing to see, let's call it, on gold, is if we zoom in on this vector candle that we did throw out in the last video. What do we see here? Gold's low pretty much hit perfectly in the middle of this vector candle. Like spot on. Now, if we have a quick look at silver, let's quickly swap to silver, let's see where the slow is. Right into this bottom box, which is also pretty much bang on the middle of the last unrecovered vector candle there. So this shows us that both gold and silver are being manipulated to pretty much perfection. So keep that in mind. Personally, I think it's a pity that these metals are manipulated this much. They should be a safe haven. Nevertheless, it shows us there's strong manipulation on metals. So back to gold. Similar to Bitcoin, I do think gold is looking bullish. Okay, we won't be opening on weekends, so maybe if Bitcoin drops over the weekend we can see a red open, but generally speaking the chart looks quite bullish on gold. It looks like we're forming a structure right here. It looks like we're forming a nice structure right here with a low, high, higher low, making higher high, higher low, higher high back into this vector zone possibly. I'm a really big fan of this stopping volume candle here on this EMA. So once again, for me it looks quite bullish gold at the moment. Of course this can change at any given moment if anything geopolitical happens. Same thing for silver, it's looking a bit weaker than gold, but very nice reaction of this vector candle. Very big fan of this wick. Let's check on the smaller time frame. It's a vector candle. More than likely going to take this high out again into this red vector candle to then continue to move into this red vector candle, also sweeping this high. But silver is heavily manipulated at the moment. Nevertheless, I do still think this can be somewhat of a reversal point, if anything, if we don't get any huge geopolitical news. Of course, these EMA levels can act as strong resistance, so there is a possibility that we bounce off there and take out the lows again. Always be aware of the bearish case scenario. Always have a plan for the bearish case scenario as well. But like I said, gold looks a bit more bullish to me than silver. Silver looks weaker, so if you want to pick one of the two, I would definitely go for gold. Of course, there is more rewards to be gotten from silver, but also more risk. Now finally, if we look at Nasdaq, what's happening with Nasdaq? Nasdaq did sweep through this vector. We did wick through it, but we can see the closes are pretty much perfectly into this vector. Had a great V bounce here, V-shaped recovery. It's showing some strength. Only thing I don't like is that we didn't sweep this low right here. I would have preferred if Nasdaq swept this low to then continue the bounce up. Now this daily low is still sitting here, which is working as some type of magnet that we could potentially see one of these bounces to then continue a strong move up. Nevertheless, this is an extremely strong reaction from Nasdaq. We can really say, especially on the 4 hour, that this is somewhat of a V shape and that we could be heading into these vector candles. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, if we go back into this, what is it, 2500 level. Once again, pity they didn't swipe this low. This would have been ideal if they swept the low to then continue to move up, but it didn't happen. We got to deal with it. We're sitting at these EMAs. If the bulls can find some strength, would be very good too. See the continuation up into these vector candles, taking out the shorts. There's too many people that jumped into shorts. Retail got shaken out on pretty much all markets, especially on Bitcoin. So much retail sold in FUD that they're now nicely able to push prices back up. They bought cheaply. A lot of people shorted down here. They got trapped and now the shorts are getting liquidated. Just watch out that we're not forming another dead cat bounce like we did here. If we look at the 1 hour, we will take just Bitcoin for example. This is similar on all markets. But let's take the 1 hour for an example. Do we see big drop, rounding move, again big drop, rounding move. Here we have a double rounding move, but then big drop, rounding move, big drop. Here we have a stronger recovery, so this could be a V shape. But we do have to watch out that we don't start seeing a rounding move with very short candles like we see right here, because that indicates we're losing strength and we could potentially go for the next dead cat bounce to then continue something like this. So be aware of that. It's the same in the other markets as well. Just keep an eye that this is not forming another dead cat bounce. It's looking a lot stronger than all the other bounces, so for me it's still looking quite bullish at the moment. But like I said, we're going into the weekend, low volume, thin order books, anything can happen. Just chart wise and TA wise, it looks quite strong at the moment. So once again, take $1 when you see one, don't be scared to take some profits, take partial profits. It can only help you once prices start dropping again. You'll have more dry power, more margin to add to lower your average prices, to jump or to catch the big move back up. So that was in a nutshell a quick update on last week's video after this very bloody market. We did go in depth over this in today's live stream, so if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments or the Discord server. So then there's only left for me to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, see ya, bye bye.